It's the Saturday edition with the man who knows. Whether you want to call it consciousness or God or the web of life, there is a mysterious feeling between people wherein one feels weirdly, invisibly, and mysteriously connected to one another. And to all things, even. So, what does that mean, though? And how can we access a more direct connection to consciousness? Well, they say that you can do it through prayer, through meditation, through chanting, through hallucinogenic plants. And by the way, if you like the kinds of things that I talk about and the stories that I tell here on this channel, please subscribe if you haven't already, and why not mention it to a friend? We don't talk about the usual stuff here, but we do it so well. These are my real life stories of the impossible. So mental focus and breathing might be the two actions that we do that connects all of those other things that I talked about, meditation and prayer and all that stuff, chanting. Mental focus and breathing. And in fact, it's interesting because this leads me to that story that I was telling you about. The story was right around 2014, 2015. I was part of a team of entertainers on the Norwegian Getaway as I headlined in what was called Illusionarium. And so it was like a team of 5 grandmasters, and Jeff Hobson was one of the guys who actually, it was the first guy who created the idea, and he brought me on along with these other guys, and it was lots of fun. It was a great team of guys, and it was an honor to work with all of them. And it was particularly great to meet all of the entertainers, the musicians, the piano players, and the dancers and comedians of the Norwegian Getaway. I had such a great time with you all. But this story starts right after our transatlantic voyage from Europe to the Manhattan Harbor. I started getting off board and getting into Manhattan and enjoying being back in the United States, to be able to be the foodie that I am, going to Hell's Kitchen. Met up with this guy named Mark who had been following me on social media, and Mark was an interesting guy. Basically, we met for a little while, we talked, we had a great time. There were a few other friends with us, but then I lost track of him for another 4 years. And it wasn't until, I ended up going to the Caribbean after that with the Norwegian Getaway, and then I ended up doing some other things, and eventually in 2018, I ended up being the resident at the Lexington Hotel in New York City. And so again, Mark, who follows me on social media, hit me up again and said, hey, let's get together. And when we did, he told me this really interesting story. Now, first, he showed me a couple of photographs on his cell phone, and they were shirtless photographs of himself, shirtless photographs of himself in December outside wearing bike shorts and actually meditating in the snow, in so much that the snow had melted a ring of just grass around him as he meditated there. And it was interesting because it literally looked like he was emanating heat from his body to the point where the snow just melted, and there was a ring of just grass around him as he meditated there in this ring. And it was a compelling picture. I mean, I don't normally get off on pictures of shirtless men, but in this particular case, it was compelling. In fact, the second was a video of him, again, shirtless with bike shorts on. People sort of see him as a little, weird, but it's pretty impressive that this 50-year-old man can walk up to a chin-up bar in a playground without a shirt and wearing bike shorts, and then just proceeds to do 16 push-ups on this pull-up bar. And so I have to say, I was very impressed. So he told me that what saved his life from apparently a incurable illness that he had, that he found out about just after meeting me in New York. In fact, he started to take a deep dive into breathing techniques, and he found out about Wim Hof. Wim Hof is a breathing expert who you should get to know. He's written several books on this subject. He has a YouTube channel. In fact, I recommend you checking out his YouTube channel, and you'll see that he has some very easy to understand and takes you through his breathing techniques in a very easy way. And I think that you'll find that you'll find some of your own results just by giving it a try. But besides that, this is about real life stories of the impossible. What kind of impossible thing could have actually happened? I mean, I have to say, 50-year-old man doing 16 pull-ups on an outdoor chin-up bar is pretty impressive to me already. But now we're up in my hotel room and at the Lexington Hotel. I was the resident there. That's where Marilyn Monroe and Joe DiMaggio used to live, in the heart of New York City in Midtown, and right near Grand Central Station. Had a great time there, by the way. Shout out to all the friends that I made at the Lexington Hotel. So there I was in the Lexington Hotel with my friend Mark, and Mark asks me if I want to be part of, try to see what I could do if he takes me through that breathing technique. So he takes me through the breathing technique. It's Wim Hof's breathing technique. It's 40 breaths. And there are little moments of visualization where you're holding your breath for like 15 counts and you're just thinking of how the oxygen is sort of healing your body in that moment. And then there are moments in which it's actually a very simple technique. Go ahead and check it out yourself. But he takes me through one, asks me how I'm feeling. I said, I feel pretty good, pretty lightheaded, but good. He says, I tell you what, do it one more time. But first, let me ask you, how many push-ups do you think you can do? Now, taking me back to the Norwegian getaway. That was when I last did push-ups. Right after I got off that boat, I fell down a flight of steps and ended up shattering my elbow and spraining my ankle really badly, and I couldn't run and I couldn't do push-ups, and then I got really non-athletic for over a year. And ever since then, I had really just kind of, I tried to stay in shape, but for the most part, I am not athletic. I'm still not athletic, unfortunately. But at this point, he asks me how many push-ups I can do. I say, maybe 20. So he goes, go ahead and do the breathing technique one more time. So now I'm up to 80 breaths at this point, but I do it one more time, 40 more breaths. And he says, now I want you to pick a spot on the carpet and just do as many push-ups as you can, but don't breathe. In other words, hold your breath and keep doing as many push-ups as you can. I thought that was weird. How many of you have ever done push-ups without breathing? So of course, I've been breathing so much. 80 breaths means that there's lots of oxygen in my lungs, and who knows, maybe I could do that while holding my breath. So I gave it a try. I haven't done push-ups in 4 years. I did 40 push-ups without breathing. 40 push-ups. Now, I don't know how impressive that is to any of you, but for me, I was pretty stunned. He looks at me afterwards and he goes, pretty convincing, huh? And I went, yeah, that was damn convincing. I was actually completely amazed that I was able to do it. Actually made me feel like I had superhuman powers. Now, truth be told, I don't recommend that anybody do this. Having not done push-ups for over 4 years and then doing suddenly 40 did not make me feel real good for the rest of the week. But it's a very, very interesting concept. The idea that you can actually do that is very interesting and, in my opinion, worth your own exploration in other words, think about this. Oxygen could be the most life-giving element in the universe, at least to what we know as life. Every living thing depends on oxygen. And so could it be that the thing that we breathe on a regular basis, which is free if we use it and take it into our bodies at, in sometimes more supplemental doses, just the way we would supplement ourselves with like calcium or magnesium or iron, if we were to use the element of oxygen in that kind of supplemental way, could we be healing ourselves in a way that it would be more advantageous than we think? Perhaps it's even oxygen itself, because, when you think about this, okay? Wim Hof didn't invent the healing the healing breathing technique. He got that from India. And the yogis have been doing this for thousands of years. They have been using breathing and its connection to meditation and trance work to being able to do exceptional things throughout the course of history over hundreds, if not thousands of years. So all I'm saying is, who knows? Maybe oxygen itself could be the secret channel that connects us directly to source consciousness, perhaps by using the oxygen through the breath that we have and through mental focus. We are actually able to directly connect ourselves to a source consciousness that allows us to not only feel better, not only result in our better physical abilities, but also perhaps allows us to channel our guide and shape our reality in a more advantageous way to ourselves. Perhaps it helps us generate positive manifestation within our lives. What do you think? That's something for you to comment below if you believe in. I hope you enjoyed this little real life story of the impossible. I say that this is one of the more impossible stories. We've been talking about consciousness all week. I know you've been thinking about maybe how do we actually use it? How do we direct ourselves? What can we do to connect ourselves to source consciousness and possibly be able to use it in advantageous ways for ourselves that allows us to get better results in our reality? Well, that could be a way through the understanding of how we can use oxygen within our bodies. I know it worked for Wim Hof, and perhaps it'll work for you. So my name's Alain Nu, the man who knows. And I know you're going to have a good time tomorrow when you tune in and see our Sunday Wisdoms. Our Magical Mondays always has me doing some kind of, some sort of magical type of thing. But not that. So enjoy your time this weekend. Thank you for staying long with me on this longer Saturday episode, and we'll see you tomorrow. Peace.